Can you name the largest nutritional supplement portfolio in the world? So you might have said Optimum Nutrition. Fortunately, that answer is wrong. Maybe you said GNC's private label. I like where your head's at with that one, but again, that's going to be wrong. So the distinction, largest nutritional supplement company in the world is Herbalife Nutrition. So throw a little asterisk up there. It could technically be Amway Global, but they don't really break out their product categories effectively to understand if they do more revenue in nutritional supplements than Herbalife. So we're going to go with Herbalife, that one. So if you didn't guess Herbalife Nutrition, I'm going to assume one of two things. One, you didn't realize that 80% of their revenue comes from outside the United States, so maybe you didn't realize just how big Herbalife Nutrition was. Or two, you don't consider Herbalife Nutrition as a nutritional supplement company because of its business structure. So why am I bringing up the business structure of a $5 billion company? Herbalife is what we call a multi-level marketing company, an MLM company. MLM companies utilize a marketing strategy for the sale of their products or services where the revenue is derived from a non-salaried workforce selling the company's products or services, and their earnings of the participants, the non-salaried workforce, is derived from a pyramid shape or binary compensation commission system. So use the word pyramid in there. I'm not saying that Herbalife is a pyramid scheme, but if you look at the way the commission structure is, it does form a pyramid. So it's just structurally the way that they call it. I'm not going to get super far past the basics of how multi-level marketing companies work, but I'll show you later in the video just kind of how some of the things that are happening at Herbalife multi-level marketing company is not much different than other non-MLM nutritional supplement company. If you are interested in information about multi-level marketing companies, just how they work, there's a ton of information online, both good and bad. It's actually a very polarizing subject, so you're going to be seeing a ton of different sources that point you in both good or bad directions. And I normally don't talk a lot about multi-level marketing companies, Herbalife, or any of those ones outside of following some of the financials of Herbalife because of how much of a big part it is in the categories of consumer packaged goods that I deal with. But after having a recent conversation with my co-host on a podcast that I do called Two Guys, One Shaker Cup, Ryan Buckeye, he was kind of looking at some different things and brought up some points around multi-level marketing companies, Herbalife specifically, something that happened internationally. So he was doing some videos, so kind of brought the attention of, hey, I don't know if I've ever really actually put out any information about Herbalife in terms of their financial statements or just kind of how the business is structured, how they make money, all the different ins and outs that I normally do with some other nutritional supplement or functional CPG companies. While I was talking, I think I also mentioned a documentary called Betting on Zero, but it focuses on Herbalife and a hedge fund manager, Bill Ackman. Their kind of battle that was happening, Bill Ackman had a short position, so he was betting on Herbalife to go down. He believed it was a pyramid scheme. He believed that there were some things going on within the business that was just not appropriate. So he was assuming that some things were going to happen regulatory-wise that was going to create Herbalife to crumble. Now, there's a ton of different things that were going on in that documentary. The documentary in general got, I think, perfect ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, so 100% score. I think it also maybe won or got nominated for a bunch of awards and documentaries. So it's a great documentary, even if you're not into this. And there's a ton of different things that are going on in the documentary. Some of it maybe, depending on your understanding of financial stuff, maybe over your head. Other stuff that's just really just great storytelling. But didn't mean to derail that. That's a great documentary. I'm one of those guys that's really into documentaries, so I wanted to make sure if anybody else is into documentaries, you guys can watch that one. It's a great one, probably on Netflix or Amazon at this point. Though Bill Ackman did not really come out in a very good position financially betting on that short position, he did get a win, I guess, kind of a win. The FTC did have a ruling against Herbalife in terms of some of their practices, some of their commission practices, in which they fined them, I think, $200 million. So again, not going to go into a lot of those details. If you guys are interested to understand maybe what the FTC had in terms of a ruling on some of their commissions or recruitment practices, you guys can look into that document. Because the point of this video is I wanted to give you guys kind of a snapshot, 2019 quarter one earnings for Herbalife Nutrition, give you guys an understanding of kind of what they're dealing with from a very large portfolio, give you guys some ins and outs and things that they're pointing to from like a competitive landscape or things things they're struggling to overcome. That normally also has some macro effects to overall trends with some of the smaller businesses. So you guys could probably pull some insights, pull some valuable things out of this video. So their revenue in this quarter was $1.22 billion. That was flat year over year. And that's mostly flat because of some issues in China. I believe that China decided to take a look at the overall nutritional vitamin supplement category within their country. They were doing kind of an audit. That audit also had a bunch of different like propaganda that maybe wasn't as positive to the overall industry that it could be. So that caused a lot of issues with Herbalife's business in China. In terms of things that maybe offsetted that issue in China, they did have a volume increase. I think it's about 6%. And then negative impacts with the strengthening of the dollar. Like I said earlier in the video, Herbalife Nutrition is about 80% international revenue, so a strong dollar creates some trade headwinds, but they were also able to implement some favorable price increases. If we just look at the North American part of this sales, we just kind of segment them out. They did do $256 million this quarter. That was up 11% year over year, so they're seeing strong growth in the North American market. If you guys take a look at some of their product mix, like what makes up Herbalife Nutrition in terms of their products, primarily what they call weight management, which is a little bit confusing to the definition that I use is weight management, but this is their core shake, snacks, weight loss products. So it doesn't necessarily mean fat burners or pills and capsules or things that would be just associated with weight management. About a quarter of their business is what they call like targeted nutrition. So this is like vitamins and minerals. About 6% comes from energy, sports, and fitness. So this is like their Herbalife 44. That's kind of their sport line. And they also have another 5% that's just made up of other things. So if we talk a little bit about like margins, and this is where things get a little bit polarizing for people. If you watch Ryan Buckeye's video or podcast that he did on this one, he's going to be taking the consumer route. He is going to be really talking about the consumer and how the consumer is getting the short end of the stick when they're buying these products. But I'm just looking at this from business, just margin perspective, and just giving you guys a little bit of understanding maybe how they report their margins, their earnings comparable to some other consumer packaged goods industries. So they do put out kind of like a table on their cost of goods. They do say that they spend 20% of their net sales on cost of goods, the cost of the product. Now, if you just look at this 20%, that depending on what size of a sports nutritional supplement company you are, they might be very low. Would like to throw a caveat in there to say that Herbalife Nutrition is a $5 billion company. They have a ton of purchasing power. They also do 60 to 65% of their own manufacturing. They own their own manufacturing for a great deal of their own business. So they are seeing cost efficiencies everywhere. So it's hard for me to pull exactly like how this one-to-one comparison, even looking at like a Glambia and Glambia Performance Nutrition, they don't tend to show you a very clean line from the supply chain, the manufacturing, to the end brand, where this is all kind of put together. But if we do try to take a comparison of the two, and maybe I'll, to make this easy, I think I'll just kind of pop up a Excel sheet across the board so you guys could see maybe the differences here. So if we assume, this is a hypothetical assumption with Herbalife's financials, if you look at maybe $1 million in retail value. From that retail value, they take a 42.5%, and that's kind of an average independent sales rep discount. This is the people that are out there selling this for them. So based on that, they have a net sales number of, say, $575,000. That's where they get the 20% of cost of goods. So that is, in this case, $115,000. So it'll give them a operating profit $460,000. Now, if we also consider, like a hypothetical situation, Josh's supplements. This is me owning retailing, but I also make my own products, so I have all the same abilities that Herbalife does. So again, I have $1 million in gross sales. This is the retail value that I'm getting at my retailer. Hypothetically, I'm transferring 42.5% of the discount to my retail location. I'm also then pulling 20% of my cost of goods, which gives me a total of $625,000 in this like total cost of sales number. So my net profit is going to be $375,000 in net sales. So the difference between Herbalife $460K and Josh's supplements at $375K does obviously make a pretty strong difference in terms of our businesses. So that 20% cost of goods does look a little bit differently than maybe how some of the accounting that you're used to on some of the other consumer packaged goods breakdowns and Herbalife. And they utilize that extra margin because if you look at just like a core final margin, Herbalife is, end of the day, 5 to 10%. They're not making 30 or 40%. End of the day, they're just banking a bunch of money because all that money actually goes kind of downline, goes to a bunch of different structures of mission. So kind of the stacked tier level where if you're up at the top, you're able to get commission profits from people that are under you. So they have to kind of pay a higher commission than you normally would with maybe some of the kind of outside salespeople or influencers or things that you would see in a non-MLM based consumer packaged goods company. So Herbalife gets a lot of flack because of this, multi-level marketing terminology, but are they all that much different than nutritional supplement companies that are MLM companies? So Herbalife's sales strategy is very much one-on-one direct sellers, independent distributors and independent salespeople are out there selling to their friends, to their family, to community members, whatever that is. Now, if we talk about just other nutritional supplement companies, it's not all that much different now. It hasn't gotten to that level of like purely one-to-one, but if you look at, social media influencer storefronts, curated stores, some of the Kardashians have this where they pick their favorite things and they put them in a digital store. You also brand ambassadors or influencers that are out there selling based on codes. Now, the difference is these scenarios, they don't normally also have to buy the inventory to have it, but one-to-one selling scenario is happening on both sides. Now, Herbalife's also talking a lot about access point, needing to move products because of more interest in convenience products. So a lot of Herbalife's products are moving towards things that would be considered on-the-go beverages, so we're ready to drink, ready to eat type of products that need to be the closest possible to consumers to increase the margins so they can be more profitable as a portfolio and also not have to pass that cost on to some of these independent salespeople. They're trying to increase their access points, their distribution centers, be that with actual distribution centers or with kind of the small member pickups that are optimized based around geographical reasons. So they're looking at this tons of different ways, probably more intricate than a lot of other consumer packaged goods companies are. They're utilizing a lot more dynamic mesh type of distribution system. But this is not much different than any other nutritional supplement company. As their products become closer to fast-moving consumer goods, ready to eat, ready to drink products, you need to get them close as possible to the consumption point. So you're looking at different style of distribution needs. So not much different between these two. They also Herbalife talks a lot about integrating different technologies, both from the need to get their end customers, so what their independent salespeople are selling to those end customers, getting them the ability to buy online, give credit to those independent sales reps, be able to have things shipped to them, and also giving those independent sales reps the tools digitally to be able to run their business more effectively in all these different omni-channel approaches. Now, this is not much different than other nutritional supplement brands. They are trying to push a lot of people towards direct-to-consumer or digital. They're also looking at a variety of different technological advances to get some level of differentiation in the market. If you look at competition, both of them are highlighting competition from food, drug, mass convenience channels, private label, direct-to-consumer brand, and then the overall increase of brand creation. There's just a lot more noise, there's a lot more competitors, and that means there's a lot less of the pie available if everybody's kind of nibbling away at it. Regardless if it's Herbalife Nutrition or just another nutritional supplement company, they're both trying to figure out how to differentiate themselves in the consumer's eyes. Again, both are dealing with regulatory changes. Herbalife is not outside of the regulatory environment that's happening with just general nutritional supplements. They also have probably a higher level of scrutiny that comes with FTC. And being that they're kind of the biggest dog out there, they're always going to have eyes on them. And just kind of touched on this, but the marketing rules, the way that the structure of the business, the way that outward facing communication is done, Herbalife is dealing with some elevated things with FTC, but also just other brands, other consumer packaged good nutritional supplement brands are dealing with some new rules with the FTC around making sure that influencers, digital initiatives are marked properly as ads so people know that they're not getting manipulated. Consumers can tell the difference between a organic, non-paid endorsement and a paid endorsement. This video probably had a bunch of information, some new information maybe you hadn't heard before. This is just my opinion on a lot of different things within this. If you guys are looking to get more information about Herbalife Nutrition or anything around multi-level marketing companies, you type furiously into the Google machine. I guarantee you're going to get any type of information, good, bad, ugly, great, whatever that's out there on these companies. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.